everyone, and welcome to the Garden Invasion series, where we feature a variety of gardeners who share a passion for plants. Today, we'll be visiting a plant dad who grows a variety of aroids. Here he is.
Hello, welcome to my home.
Hello Marcus, thank you for having me.
All the way down. Come on in.
So today I would like to tour your home and ask you 20 questions. Will that be okay?
Yeah, sure thing. Let's do it.
Great. Perhaps you could start off by sharing with us what you did this morning.
Okay, so before you guys came, I was busy watering my plants and inspecting them for pests, which is what I do on a daily basis. Yeah.
Oh wow, this looks like a lovely home garden setup. Tell us a bit more about what's going on here.
Okay, so as you can see, this is my outdoor garden, which is still a work in progress. And this is the aroid house, where I house the more temperamental houseplants that require a little bit more shade from the sun and a little bit more humidity. And over here, we have one of my first few passion projects, which was the vertical garden.
Well, it seems like a lot of hard work and effort was spent creating this garden. So what got you interested in gardening?
Yeah, so after university, I had a lot of free time. So I saw this video online about how people were decorating their homes with vertical green walls. And I wanted to try it out for myself to beautify my own home. And yeah, this was a little project that I did over a weekend. And after that, I started buying more and more plants, found out that, hey, this is actually my passion. And because of that, I am here today with a lot more plants in my collection.
Wow, that's nice. Yeah. Perhaps you could tell us more about your aroid house.
Okay, so before the aroid house was built, actually a lot of my collection was in my bedroom. So just imagine a lot of these plants being in my bedroom with a crazy setup of shelves and grow lights. And it actually reached a point where there were just too many plants and I had a lot of problems breathing at night. So I had to sleep in my brother's room or the living room. And I finally reached a point where my parents were like, okay, Marcus, go ahead and build your aroid house to house your plants in the garden. Yeah, so this is where we are today.
Wow, so how long did it take for you to create all of this?
Okay, so the moment I had the good to go, I started to clear the garden because this was actually my parents' beloved garden. Thank you, Mom and Dad. This was my parents' garden. So over every weekend, over a span of 2 months, I cleared up all the trees, the grass, and when the land was finally ready, I enrolled the help of a friend I met in the online gardening community, Raymond, to come down and build this aroid house structure with me over a span of 10 days. Yep.
Well, it seems like the online community played a big role in helping you kickstart your gardening journey.
Oh, definitely. So when I first picked up this hobby, I realized, wow, the gardening community in Singapore is really very big. So it comprises of a lot of the old guards who have been growing for many, many years, and a lot of people like me who have picked up the hobby in the last 1 year. So the gardening community is really, really big, and yeah, it comprises of so many people that are so willing to help and share knowledge in terms of growing and just taking care of plants. Yep.
Wow, that's nice. I see that you have a variety of different plants in this garden. What type of plants do you collect?
Yes, definitely. So as you can see, a lot of my plants are foliage plants. I don't really collect plants for their flowers, so I collect them for interesting leaves. So I mostly collect philodendrons. I also have some anthuriums, alocasias, and recently I went into some trees as well as begonias and hoyas. Yep.
So how many plants do you have in total over here?
That's a very tough question to answer. I think I stopped counting after the first 20. Yeah.
So I have to ask, out of all your plant babies over here, which is your favorite plant?
Wow, the questions keep getting harder and harder. I think all the plants are my babies and I try to care for them equally. But there are a category of plants that are actually very, very meaningful to me. These are called friendship plants.
Oh, perhaps you can show us more of your friendship plants.
So okay, in the plant community, whenever we meet each other, we try to do plant swaps, plant exchanges, and we also give each other plants. So this is a philodendron glad hand that one of my friends have given me. This is another plant that is very, very meaningful to me. Back in September last year, a friend of mine actually gave me a majestic cutting. So a majestic is a cross between a Philodendron sodiroi and a verrucosum. So he actually gave me a 1-leaf cutting. As you can see, this was the 1 leaf, and it was my very, very first cutting in this hobby. And I liked, and yeah, 5 months on, It's grown pretty well, as you can see. And I keep this here to remind me of how I was able to root and grow my first cutting. So it's a very, very special plant. Yeah.
So as an avid gardener, do you have any tips for good gardening practices?
As you can see, gardening is can sometimes be a really messy hobby. So I try my best to make sure that there is no pooling of water in the garden by inspecting it maybe twice a week so that we can prevent mosquitoes from breeding. And sometimes watering can be very messy, especially for your neighbors. So I try my best to water my plants and not let the water splash into their house. But it happens, you know. But I have really nice neighbors, so they're cool with it. Yeah.
So going back to your aroid collection, based on your experience, what type of planting media do aroids prefer?
Oh, okay. So for planting media, I would have to say that it is a very subjective thing. It's important to note that there is no one media for all your plants. All your plants have various needs. They have you can't just buy one kind of soil and then use it for all your plants. So I think maybe I can explain a little bit through my potting mix. So as you can see here, this is a little aroid mix that I have prepared. I think mixes are very personal. You know, you grow with your mixers, your plant grows with your mixers, but the three important categories that you need to take note of are, the first thing is you need to take note of something that retains water. So what I use to retain water can be cocoa peat, it can also be soil or worm castings, but don't use too much of this. Then the next thing you will need is a media for aeration. So for aeration, I use something like perlite or pumice to provide some aeration in the soil. And lastly, you need something to provide structure in the soil so that the roots can grow well. So for me, in terms of structure, I use Okiata bark, but you can also use alternatives that you can Google online, such as cocoa husk and such things like that. So I think it's important to note that in any good media, all you need to do is keep these three things in mind.
So how much and how often do you water your aroids?
So, watering is also another subjective thing because it depends on the myriad of factors. So it could be whether the plant is housed indoors, whether the plant is housed outdoors, it can be whether the day has been really hot, the day has been raining. So I think for watering, it's something that you have to constantly evolve with, because you can't just stick to traditional advice like, oh, you have to water your plants every day, or you have to water your plants once a week. So I think a good gauge that I use would be to water the plant and then feel how heavy the plant is. So this is when the soil is saturated. So I'll get a gauge of, okay, when I water my plants, this is how heavy it is. And then maybe after that, in the day or the next day, or whenever I'm checking up the plants whether they need another round of watering, I'll try to lift up the plant and then feel, okay, was it as heavy as it was when it was saturated? And that is a good sign of when you can water. And when you water, make sure you water the plants through thoroughly and the water flows up from the bottom.
Yeah. Oh wow, those are definitely good tips for gardeners out there. So do you get any pesky plant pests?
Okay. So I think for pests, in terms of growing plants at home, is a very inevitable thing. You have a lot of different kind of pests from thrips, spider mites, mealybugs, and I'm pretty lucky because growing in an outdoor environment, I don't get so much of those, but I do get caterpillars and beetles. So if you see over here, this is actually a Jose Bono that was attacked by caterpillar, but it's very important, I think, that we do not kill caterpillars because they are pollinators and play a very important role in our ecosystem. So I try to keep them somewhere else or release in the park. Yep.
So do you have any advice on how home gardeners can get rid of surface pests like spider mites?
Okay. For a general preventative measure, I try to hose down my plants on a weekly basis, sometimes 2 times, 3 times a week if I'm more free. But I think a lot of home growers do not have hoses. So what I used to do when I grew plants in my room is to buy a spray bottle, a pressure spray bottle like this from any hardware shop. And then you just make sure that you spray the leaves thoroughly on the top and on the bottom. So this is an example of how you can do it. So you just give it a good wash. Don't worry too much about the pressure. Yeah, so give it a good wash. Don't worry too much about the pressure and make sure that all the pests are gone. However, if the pest population is too much out of hand, then you will really need to use some solutions like organic pesticides or synthetic pesticides. I think there's also no one pesticide that will solve all your problems. So the first thing you need to do is diagnose the problem. Try to identify what is the pest that is affecting your plant. And then from there, I think you can ask people in the plant community or Google what is the best solution for that particular pest. Yeah, but as a general precaution, always wash down your leaves, water your area, and keep it clean. Yep.
Oh wow, it sounds like a lot of hard work is required to keep your plants healthy. But I'm sure you find some enjoyment in doing all of this. What benefits do you feel gardening has brought you?
Definitely, definitely. I think, as you can see, gardening has been very therapeutic for me. And overall, the benefits of gardening are tremendous. For me, growing so many plants has taught me how to nurture and care for a living thing. And I think it's a very enjoyable process because you are taking care of a living thing and you get to see it grow, you get to see it blossom and really thrive under your care. And I think that is something that a lot of growers can look forward to and enjoy the process. But I think ultimately I really enjoy the hobby because at the end of a stressful day, I can come home, look at my plants, look at the greenery, and just really spend some time with myself and enjoy the moment.
Oh, that's nice. Perhaps you could share with us your plant care routine. How long do you spend tending to your plants daily?
Okay, my plant care routine is pretty simple. When I wake up in the morning, I try to have a good cup of coffee and water my plants while I'm doing that. And I'll just inspect if there's anything that needs to be done. So it could be some pests sometimes, or it could be a plant that needs to be pruned. So after that, I'll go to work, and after work I'll come back, check on the soil, make sure that the soil is not too dry. If it's dry, I'll do another round of watering, another round of inspection, and so probably 30 minutes in the morning, 30 minutes in the night, but sometimes it can be more. And then on the weekends, I spend a little bit more time just giving them that little bit of extra care. Yep.
Wow, that is dedication indeed. So how has your family reacted to this hobby?
Oh, okay. So as you can see, I have really a lot of plants. So I think when I first started collecting so many plants, right, a lot of my friends and my family were asking me, "Hey Marcus, why are you collecting so many plants?" So I think it's a bit, for people who don't grow plants, they can't really see why I'm collecting so many plants. But then I think I have I'm very fortunate to have two parents who really support my passions. So after they saw that I was growing so many things, it was getting a lot prettier, they saw my passion, my dedication, they were like, "Okay Marcus, go for it, go for it." And after a while, when my friends came over to see the fruits of my labor, they also gained a lot of interest in gardening. And a lot of them were like, "Okay, come, pass me a plant so I can start gardening." So nowadays, a lot of my friends, when they see plants at the road, they always take a picture and send it to me and they say, "Hey Marcus, what plant is this?" So I think generally, friends and family have also started to gain interest on nature because of this hobby that I've taken up.
And I noticed you document this hobby of yours on Instagram. So why did you decide to do so?
Okay, so I created an Instagram account because I wanted people to know that gardening is not something that only aunties and uncles do, even though I have a lot of auntie and uncle friends. But I think I just wanted to bridge the knowledge gap to show people that, hey, actually gardening is an easy thing to do. If I can do it, you can do it too. So by making some videos on how to take care of plants, showing some of my plants, it really bridges the gap, increases the take up on the hobby, and I just wanted people to know that gardening is fun and you should do it too. Yep.
Alright, so any last words of wisdom for other aroid fans or just gardeners who are starting out?
I think the most important thing to do if you're interested in this hobby is to just buy a plant. Buy a plant, enjoy the process, grow it well, learn about the good and the bad of what you're doing that affects the plant's growth. And once you've enjoyed the process, you understand how to do it, you can start to expand your collection, and I think at the end of the day, if you start the hobby, you'll really enjoy the tremendous benefits that it will bring to you. Yep.
Whoa, those are really wise words indeed.
Definitely.
Okay, goodbye.
Okay, bye-bye.
Wait!
Oh, what's up?
Can I have a friendship plant?
Okay, oh yeah, actually prepared a friendship plant for you. This is a Philodendron Florida Ghost, which is a very easy to care for beginner houseplant that I hope will start your gardening journey. Here you go.
Okay, thank you, Marcus, and thank you so much for letting us into your home.
No worries, no worries. Come by anytime and have fun on your next home garden invasion. Bye-bye.
Bye!